William's just loving his new clean pen, fresh hay, and his last night with his women. We're gonna be separating them. Hopefully they're pregnant, but that's not what this episode is gonna be about. This is not gonna be about the great side of homesteading. This is gonna be a back to reality homesteading show. And in life, there are two things that you have to deal with, and on a homestead, it doesn't change. And the two things that I'm talking about is you gotta deal with death and you gotta deal with shit. No matter if it's people or like up here, or if it's physical shit. So if you're now not interested in this episode, you can kind of move on, but this is the reality of homesteading. And I'm sure that if you're looking to get into homesteading, you're not looking to live close to a grocery store to go and purchase your own fruit and vegetables and your meat and all that. So you're gonna be looking to get into something. And unfortunately, if you're looking to get into animals, you're gonna have to deal with those two items. And one thing that I want to touch on, we're gonna start with the side when it comes with shit. I've worked in wastewater treatment plants as an electrician for a while, and I've worked around and with farm animals. I've been on farms, I've worked with them, various animals, livestock, from just goats like this to big cows, bison, things of that nature. And so I know the differences between various types of shit. And I'll tell you something, human beings are one of the most disgusting and foul smells, or whatever you want to call it, when it comes to this topic. And there are many people that I've seen firsthand in life that are completely disgusted with the thought of getting involved in this type of environment. Well, you're gonna have to either not do this, or you're gonna have to pull up your gotchis and do the things. But what I'd like to say is there are a couple of ways that you can minimize either the smell or the amount. Now, if you're getting into large livestock such as cows, you're gonna have bigger problems. You're gonna be in more of a production cycle than just a self-sustainable cycle. So we're gonna be talking about if you want a small farm or a small homestead that has a few animals and you're not sure on what to decide. Now, I'm in the goat pen here, and I'll tell you one thing. I completely cleaned this out from the winter thaw, and that means that it's been sitting in here all winter, compacted, because I can't clean it because it freezes the second they urinate or shit in the pen, especially when it's -40. So it's finally been really mild, and I've been able to get the top layer off for a week now, but the bottom layer needed to thaw out a little bit, so I had to literally peel it off the ground. Now, I know that's a disgusting thought, but let me tell you this. This whole pen that I just did, it does not stink. You would think standing in here right now, my nostrils would be burnt to a crisp, but maybe that's because I've been working in wastewater treatment plants and they've been actually burnt off from human shit. But I'm telling you right now, there's no smell here. There's a faint smell, especially when you pull up the frosted stuff, but it's not bad. But the off side on that, or the negative, is that there's an abundance of it. Now, if you think that you can get away from the amount by switching to a smaller animal, Yes, that is true. However, I'll tell you right now firsthand that chickens, you do not want to be in a chicken coop on a hot summer day, because you will be basically tasting what you're smelling. And so yes, chickens are smaller, but boy do they smell. And rabbits, unfortunately, are the same thing. So what do you start with? That all depends on what you would like to do. You'll get the same thing with ducks as well. They smell the same way. So it's gonna be a choice of one or the other. Now the second side of this video is gonna be the topic of death. In society, we've been desensitized when it comes to death. We see death on TV. We see death in funerals. We see death when you're at the grocery store and you see that dead piece of meat, but you actually don't know what it actually feels like. And what I'm talking about is when you're actually doing the works that you need to do with having livestock. So if you're raising egg layers just for egg productions, they're eventually gonna die. You can say, oh, I'm just gonna have animals for milk or whatever or chickens just for eggs, but eventually they're gonna age and they're gonna die and you're gonna have to deal with it. So it's something that you're gonna have to face regardless. But if you want to, like us, look into supplying your own meat with chicken, with goats, with rabbits, you're gonna have to actually know what death feels like and what it's like to actually butcher an animal. Now, anyone that's hunted will have an idea of this, but at the same time, that's different because you're shooting it from a distance. But when you're holding a live animal in your hands and you can feel it decease, it kind of mellows you out and gives you a different appreciation in life that I believe that many in this world, especially in the Western society, have been desensitized and kind of turn a blind eye to. If you're looking to get into this, it's not an easy process. I myself am lucky because I've been raised on a small farm as a child where I firsthand saw my grandmother butcher a chicken. And then I was able to do it as a 7 or 8 year old, I can't remember what it was. So if you don't have the benefit of doing these things when you're younger, the best way I would advise you to do it is start watching some videos and understand what it's going to look like. For example, Kimberly, she's never seen butchering of chickens or rabbits or anything like that. The goats not yet, because all our kids passed this past winter, but that's another thing that you have to deal with is unborn kids, or the ones that die overnight or freeze to death because they were born on one of the coldest nights that you had in the winter. And so one of the ways that Kimberly dealt with the idea of butchering animals and dealing with dead animals is by first dealing with the butchered and dressed chicken. So I butchered it, I skinned it, plucked it, skinned it with the feathers, and I gutted it and I left it in the cold water. Her job was to take the chicken and take it into the kitchen and vacuum seal it or package it for freezing. And so we did one round where that's all she did. The second round of chickens, she did the same thing, but near the end of that round, she was able to come outside and from 30 or 40 feet, watch how the process is done. Now, yes, she didn't butcher any, but it's the psychological part that people need to overcome before they can get into the process. Now, there are many people that do not have that psychological problem, but I find that there are a lot of people, and this is one way that you can overcome it, is by watching it either on video, there's many videos on YouTube on how to do it. Then you can watch it in real life. If you know someone who lives on a homestead, on a farm, or keeps animals, ask them to be a part of it next time that they do decide to butcher the animals. And I would say then start doing it yourself. Now, there is no easy animal to butcher, because in the end it's not a glorious side of homesteading or life in general. But if you want to do this, anybody that's doing this lifestyle will tell you that, especially if they're raising their own children or their own animals, if there are some people that do not have their own animals and just go to the grocery store, and that's fine. However, if you've been keeping up with this channel, and you've seen now that both Prime Minister and Biden there down south declare food shortages, I think it's not a bad idea. So with that said, if you're looking to do this, it is a glorious lifestyle, but either you're going to do it in the city or you're going to do it on a homestead. You got those two things to deal with. Shit from either animals on a homestead or shit from people mentally in the city, and then death. You got that either way too. Thanks for watching me on this video. I'll see you on the next one.